Hello, my name is Jason Sanger, and this is my student personal video. So, an idea or experience that's been catalytic in my development as an architect slash designer was the study abroad trip that I went on this May to Japan. That definitely was just a life-changing experience, getting to see the different cultures, different peoples, different buildings, all the architecture and the ideas that they have there that are very different than the United States. It's definitely a very different international idea. And like I said, that was in May. So I'm excited to get to sort of take some of those ideas that I've gotten from that experience and apply that to this course. So, a description of a place or places or building of interest, like I said, Japan was definitely very significant. Um, there were places like this where there's just a sort of large alley with just a ton of buildings, lots of neon lights. Everything's lit up at night. You can maybe see that there's a Godzilla at the end of this alleyway there. And they sort of integrated their pop culture into their architecture by just putting Godzilla in the building on the building. And I could actually see that from my hotel room. I was looking down on that big Godzilla head, and that's something I see even on TikTok is whoa, Shinjuku, Tokyo. You can go here and you can see this big Godzilla head, and it's just super cool. It's a fun thing that people can go to. And I really love that. So, a little brief overview of my educational, creative, and or professional pursuits. So, I completed my undergrad, graduated this May right before I went to Japan, and I graduated from the University of Colorado's Denver campus. And I was there for 4 years. I'm still living in Denver while I'm completing this degree online. And it's something that I had a very good time, met a lot of people, went a lot of places, learned a lot of things. And that's something that I'm grateful for, grateful to have gotten to do that. Professional pursuits. My biggest professional pursuit at the moment is to become a licensed architect. So right now I'm looking for some job in Denver and use the connections that I've made in my 4 years here to get a job, trying to get some of those AXS hours completed whenever I can, and then to take the ARE as soon as possible, trying to get that completed, that going, trying to become licensed earlier on than later. So some images or objects that have been inspirational to my architectural pursuit. So I'd like to show this one here. Got this is also in Japan, and it's a building that's just a it's a face, and I love that very much. I remember walking on the street. I believe this was in Kyoto, and seeing that and just thinking, "Well, this is just absolutely ridiculous. We would never be allowed to create something like this in an architectural studio, and it would be ridiculed and criticized to the point that it wouldn't be even allowed." And something that I was doing in my undergraduate studio four was I was creating a an artist residency that was for two different kinds of artists. And so one artist was a fashion designer, one artist was a jazz trombonist. For the jazz trombonist, I was leading more into a bit of a literal design where I looked at the physical design of a trombone and then I integrated that into the floor plan design. And so then I took it a step further, and then the part that was sort of the bell of the trombone that flares outwards, I just literally did that on the building. I It was a bridge, and it just got larger and larger towards the end and then flared straight out with the flat end. And my professor just sort of criticized that and ridiculed it, said it was too literal. And I just think it's a bit ironic seeing this building in Japan that's just literally a face. And I've even seen TikToks, Instagram posts about it. Visit Japan, you can see this cool house that's a face. So definitely different international perspectives have been very influential in my thought processes and just in my sort of architectural life for the last couple of months. And like I said, I'm very excited to get to sort of use those things. So personal aspirations for the course, definitely to push the boundaries of what I've been doing before, to try to take these international perspectives of architecture that I learned in Japan and put that into what I'm doing, sort of go in different directions and get away from my original ideas of stepping. I use stairs and stepping very heavily in my undergrad, and that was something I saw a bit in Japan, but I'd like to kind of get around that, go different directions, build different buildings, make different designs, learn new things, and kind of get my hands into different baskets in those ways. Now, answer the question, what does home mean to you? I mean, I could say home is where the heart is. But I am originally from Oklahoma City. I was born and raised there. I lived there for 18 years. And then when I graduated high school, I moved up here to Denver, Colorado, and I've been here for the last 4 years. And so now home for me is really both Oklahoma and Colorado. I think that people sort of ask me sometimes, where's home for you? Say, is Colorado your home or is Oklahoma your home? And I really tell them both because home is Oklahoma. That's where I'm from, and that's where I come from. So that's my home. But I live here in Denver, and this is literally physically my home. Um, so I guess home means different things to me. Um, but in sort of the same way, it means where do you live? Where do you reside? Where do you come from? I think that home is a little more fluid of a term, in my opinion, than just one rigid, this is home, this is what home is for me. So I'm going to screen share and I would like to show a project that I worked on in my Studio 4 undergrad. Just a moment. Here we are. So here's some vignettes that were created alongside my partner. This was a partner project that my graduate student for. And this is called the Take 5 Artist Residency. This is the project I had mentioned earlier that was part fashion designer, part jazz trombonist, artist residency. It had living spaces, it had performance spaces, it had workspaces, it had a lot of things. And it rested on a site that had a public walkway, has a public walkway that runs right beneath it, and that can be seen here in this second vignette where these people are walking through here. And then there's this open room up here, and that is a jam session space for the trombonists to bring in other musicians. They can open up this wall to the public. People can walk by, hear everything that's going on. And then there's an auditorium that's resting right above that. It's all floating here on this elevator shaft. And then here's the bridge image you can see. I ended up landing on a bit simpler of a shape, more cylindrical. And then here are the practice rooms sort of rotating around using that same rotational aspect that a trombone has as it's going back behind the face and then coming out to the belts, using those same sort of aspects there. And then this auditorium using acoustics as design aspects, keeping acoustics in mind throughout that design process. I've played trombone for 11 years myself, and music is something that I'm very passionate about and have been sort of looking for ways to integrate into architecture. And that was something that I was very interested in. So I did a little bit of research on building acoustics as well as auditorium shapes and sizes and ended up designing my own auditorium. And that went very well. And then these last couple vignettes, my partner had designed, but looking at sort of thresholds leading to a straight hallway, some workspaces here. Here's a living room where the artist can mingle and rest, get some sunlight. Then here's a living space there with the window and some drawers. That was custom designed by him. And then we had a tree up here. This was sort of a meditative space for the artist to go to take their minds off of their work, and a building that is designed specifically to emulate their work. Well, this is a project that I'm very fond of. I like this project a lot. And thank you very much. This is my introductory video.